4 women are accusing Russell Brand of doing some very, very bad things.
That I absolutely refute.
And big tech, they're coming after him.
Are these allegations true? Or is this just cancel culture?
Coming from the BBC, Russell Brand allegations. This making headlines everywhere. And you may remember this guy from movies like Get Him to the Greek and Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and he hosted the MTV VMAs. He was married to Katy Perry, for crying out loud, for a couple years. This guy's a big deal. Well, now he's even a bigger deal on YouTube. He's got 6.6 million followers, and he speaks with a lot of populist, anti-establishment rhetoric. And people, the people in charge, they don't like that. Well,
and he's also got a huge following on Rumble. He's got almost 1.5 million on Rumble. His podcast is called Stay Free.
Stay Free with Russell Brand. He's a very influential guy. And we know that the powers that be, they don't like people like him because he goes against the mainstream.
He's been speaking against Pfizer and Big Pharma. He's been questioning the things that happened in the past 2 years. And he's also been speaking a lot against various governments, his own government, UK, as well as ours.
Right. At this point, this guy was a liberal hippie. I mean, he was a communist, back in the day. But all of a sudden now, he's a MAGA Republican, and he's accused of being far right at some time.
Well, he's accused of being a MAGA Republican. He's not.
Yes. The women are alleging sexual assaults between 2006 and 2013. One woman alleges Brands had her up against a wall in his LA home. A second woman in the UK alleges Brand assaulted her when he was in his early 30s. She was only 16. A third woman claims that Brand sexually assaulted her while they worked together in LA. And a fourth woman alleged being assaulted by Brand in the UK and him being physically and emotionally abusive toward her. There are no charges against Russell Brand, at this point.
These women are still anonymous. They've only said these things to a group of reporters.
Brand's got winds that this news was going to break, so he went right to his YouTube channel with this response. Viewed by over 2 million people.
Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Now, this isn't the usual type of video we make on this channel where we critique, attack, and undermine the news in all its corruption, because in this story, I am the news. I've received 2 extremely disturbing letters, or a letter and an email, one from a mainstream media TV company, one from a newspaper, listing a litany of extremely egregious and aggressive attacks, as well as some pretty stupid stuff. This litany of astonishing, rather baroque attacks, very serious allegations that I absolutely refute. These allegations pertain to the time when I was working in the mainstream, when I was in the newspapers all the time, when I was in the movies, and as I've written about extensively in my books, I was very, very promiscuous. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. I was always transparent about that then, almost too transparent. And to see that transparency metastasized into something criminal that I absolutely deny makes me question, is there another agenda at play? Particularly when we've seen coordinated media attacks before, like with Joe Rogan when he dared to take a medicine that the mainstream media didn't approve of. And we saw a spate of headlines from media outlets across the world using the same language. I'm aware that you guys have been saying in the comments for a while, watch out, Russell, they're coming for you, you're getting too close to the truth. Russell Brand did not kill himself. I know that a year ago there was a spate of articles, Russell Brand's a conspiracy theorist, Russell Brand's right wing. I'm aware of news media making phone calls, sending letters to people I know for ages and ages. It's been clear to me, or at least it feels to me, like there's a serious and concerted agenda to control these kind of spaces and these kind of voices. And I mean my voice along with your voice. I don't want to get into this any further because of the serious nature of the allegations, but I feel like I'm being attacked, and plainly they are working very closely together. We are obviously going to look into this matter because it's very, very serious. In the meantime, I want you to stay close, stay awake, but more important than any of that, if you can, please stay free.
Some of the speculation is that Russell is getting attacked and that these might be false charges that are designed to get him banned off platforms. YouTube doesn't like the fact that he's on there. He doesn't violate their rules, but they just don't like independent voices. Of course, CNN and the BBC and the papers in the UK that wrote the hit pieces on him, he gets exponentially more views on his podcast than they get readership or views on their channels. There's a lot of speculation that because he's talking against Pfizer, he's talking against Big Pharma, he's talking against mainstream media, and he's talking against corrupt government, that forces are sort of aligning against him, sort of the way they tried to go after Rogan and, you know, Trump, and like every big voice that is not adhering to a narrative. That's the speculation, at least. We, of course, have to wait and see if any of these allegations are true, if any evidence comes forward. But in America, we believe in the concept of innocent until proven guilty, so let's see the evidence.
Yeah, because the reality is sometimes people lie. Sometimes women lie. Sometimes men lie. People lie. This is in satire, but he's not wrong about this.
It went from men not listening to women at all to just this total overcorrection that anything they fucking said means it happens, you know? They got these hashtags like, you know, believe women, right? It's a little open-ended, huh? It's just straight across the fucking board. All of them, every last fucking one of them. What about the psychos? What about the ones that key your car and light your shit on fire because you didn't fucking answer a text? What about them? How about you believe like 88% and that last 12% that's out of their fucking minds? You know, I think that's a fair percentage, wouldn't you? No? Are you too afraid to not believe? I know, that's the world we're fucking living in right now. And then, you know, and then people just like, did you see that story? You can't make something like that up. I always want to be like, well, did you see Star Wars? I mean, somebody made that up. They made like fucking 15 of them, you know? People can make shit up, right? You're part of the fucking problem. Get the fuck out, you know?
It's an amazing clip, dude. I mean, you know, it's just it's a joke about a serious subject, but I mean, he's not wrong. People make shit up.
Yeah, we're gonna go
claiming
over
that this is happening in this situation, but people make stuff up.
Yeah, we're going to go over, in fact, a bunch of instances in recent years where men were falsely charged.
So let's take a look at why big tech would want to sort of come after him. Russell Brand has been a budding populist and anti-establishment for a long time. This is a clip taken from 2013 with the BBC's Jeremy Paxman.
And I think that's got to change now. We can no longer have erroneous, duplicitous systems held in place unless it's for the only systems that serve the planet and serve the population of the planet can be allowed to survive. Not ones that serve elites, be they political or corporate elites. And this is what's currently happening. I completely believe it. Don't look at me all weary, like you're at a fireside.
Look at him. You can't really believe that. He's just basically saying that he doesn't want systems that serve the corporate elites. You don't really believe that, says Paxman.
I don't trust people who don't look at you when they talk. Look at him looking down.
I know, he's looking down, yeah.
Yeah.
This was a very popular shared and viewed video on YouTube, guys. And this one, from his then show The Trues back in 2015.
5 million? He's the Chancellor! You're in charge of being a Chancellor. What's that? Oh, you know, anything to do with money and that. Good, all right. You ain't got nothing shady going on offshore. Some shady things, yeah. Well, all right, you're the Prime Minister. Did you, in fact, get your inheritance from these offshore schemes? I did a bit do that, yes. Well, perhaps you shouldn't be in fucking charge then.
And reducing the deficit.
Proof there that he's going after the Parliament. Big tech and the establishment don't like that. And here he is lastly getting full-on transparent, a little too transparent, like he said in his reaction video.
What about sex? Would you have called yourself a sex addict?
Well, possibly not at the time, but I think in retrospect it was pretty clear that I was using sex to medicate and to feel connected and to deal with that yearning and longing. So, yeah, in fact, I started to think that the object of the addiction becomes less and less relevant, like consuming, just buying stuff on the internet or staring dumbly at social media when you didn't intend to, or staying up too late imbibing some mindless crap, you know, online. This too, for me, is connected to that longing. It's more obvious when it's heroin, it's going to end with medical and criminal problems. But I still think you're dealing with the same germ. Because I've experienced, forgive me, you know, sort of a promiscuous lifestyle, because I've experienced indulgence in all kinds of other ways that I thought might resolve the way I feel, I now know that they won't.
When you look back at that promiscuous lifestyle, do you think, does that appall you? Do you think, God, I was disgusting? Do you look at your daughter now and think, I hope she never meets
Emily,
Russell Brand when she grows up?
Don't get so worked up about it. It's only a rhetorical device. Does it appall you? No, my dear. I don't look back at the past and get all worked up about it like Ebenezer Scrooge. I simply think those are some things I've done. I've amended for them. And as for the likelihood of some sort of Faustian kick up the arse from future Russell, if my daughter meets somebody who's caring and sensitive and knows how to communicate, then I think that will be a good thing. And I hope that by the time that she is dating men or women or whatever it is she's into, that she will be schooled in how to think, how to understand emotions, and to understand that whatever it is that presents himself, herself, itself at that doorstep, it won't make her feel any better if she's not connected to who she is.
And that's why Brand is so popular. He's transparent, he's honest, and he's very influential. And again, the powers that be don't like that. And this potentially could be a ploy to squash that.
Here's the official statement from YouTube. We have suspended monetization on Russell Brand's channel for violating our creator responsibility policy. If a creator's off-platform behavior harms our users, employees, or ecosystem, we take action to protect the community. And then the headline in the New York Times, YouTube blocks Russell Brand from making money through its platform. The comedian's channel has over 6 million followers, but he will be unable to draw income from advertising around his videos. Now, this is what the interesting thing here to me is. So YouTube thinks Russell engaged in off-platform behavior that harms their users. So their solution is to demonetize him. Okay. But what YouTube doesn't say is YouTube is still going to run ads on Russell's videos, and YouTube's still going to earn money off of every single one of those ads. So if YouTube was really concerned about validating bad off-platform behavior, that's assuming Russell Brand is guilty of any of these allegations. Let's just pretend he is. If he's guilty of these, so Russell's not making money off of it, but YouTube's making money off of it. And note, YouTube didn't ban Russell's channel. They didn't remove his channel. They didn't strike any of his videos. Why? Because his content doesn't disobey any of their rules. This is just a punishment meant to say, we don't want you making money on our platform because we don't like you. And in my opinion, this is their excuse to attack him and pull that monetization. Again, these are allegations. There aren't even police charges. None of these women have come forward officially. They are all anonymous, and they only came forward to a paper after a paper went searching for them because the paper wanted to do a hit piece on Russell.
At least CMT said to Jason Aldean, we're not playing your video. That's the only thing I can think of. You know what I mean? That's sort of the analogy I can draw here.
I don't advocate for any censorship, but if YouTube wants to be genuine here, if they really believe he's harming people with off-platform behavior, why on earth would they keep him on their platform and make money from him? And again, this is why I'm having a problem with this story and these allegations and the coordinated attack, as we'll see, that's come against him. There's a lot of speculation that this may have been one of the reasons why big tech is coming after him and the media and government.
But they do pertain to this issue, so may I say something?
Please,
if they
please
inconvenience you, I'll stop saying them. The pandemic created at least 40 new big pharma billionaires. Pharmaceutical corporations like Moderna and Pfizer made $1,000 of profit every second from the COVID-19 vaccine. More than two-thirds of Congress received campaign funding from pharmaceutical companies in the 2020 election. Pfizer chairman Albert Bourla told Time magazine in July 2020 that his company was developing a COVID vaccine for the good of humanity, not for money. And of course, Pfizer made $100 billion in profit in 2022. And may I just mention, finally, and this is also a fact, that the American public, funded the development of that. The German public funded the BioNTech vaccine. When it came to the profits, they took the profits. When it came to the funding, you paid for the funding. It's difficult not to...
But I would...
That line to me is so important. We paid to develop all these. They took all the profits. And then on top of that, they excuse themselves from any financial responsibility for adverse effects. And there's not much more we can say. We've already had our issues with censorship and talking about this issue on YouTube because you're not allowed to speak any truth here. So, by the way, check out our channel on Rumble where free speech exists.
I agree, man. This was absolutely a pivotal moment when he appeared on Bill Maher's show. right before the writer's strike. And he even went after that dude from MSNBC for sort of blaming Fox News for sort of the same thing. And Brand was like, whoa, you guys are all on the same team here. You know, like you're both guilty of doing the same thing. And that's when he referenced Joe Rogan and the CNN yellowing of the face. And again, this was a big deal. And then he ended up on Mars podcast Club Random. And then it went on and on.
Yeah. Here's Simon Atiba, I'm not sure of the last name pronunciation, but on his X account, Julian Assange was suddenly accused of the R word after he began exposing government abuse of power, fraud, and corruption via WikiLeaks. One woman said she was half asleep. Just like Russell Brand, the corrupt media convicted him before any court hearing. And of course, we know today, Assange was never found guilty of any of those things. Just poof. Those mysteriously disappeared once the U.S. had him in indefinite confinement for life, like he is right now. That's what happens when you go against the establishment. Also, Simon goes on to say, remember Supreme Court Justice, that was Kavanaugh, or President of the United States. You're a famous person with a lot of money and influence. The mainstream media comes after you with allegations if you're a person who disagrees with the mainstream media and the government. They talk about these allegations day and night, as if they could not be false. They smear you so badly that you're almost guilty until proven innocent. And the way these things work that we see over and over again is, you know, those UK papers say this bad thing about Russell, and then the New York Times says it, and the Washington Post says it, and then they reference each other's articles back and forth, as reported in the New York Times. The New York Times says, as reported in the UK paper. And they use each other for their sources of the allegations, rather than like actual sources like the women giving evidence. You know, it's this game the media plays basically since Trump took office of just using each other as sources in their lies. So one of them lies or says questionable or false things, and then the other ones who want to put that story forth cite that same paper that said the original lies as their source. And YouTube, Facebook gives extra reach to places like CNN or the New York Times or Washington Post YouTube channels because they deem them authoritative sources. Here's Glenn Greenwald on X. He says, look how manipulatively corporate media weaponizes trite, primitive political labels. The New York Times today, Mr. Brand built a significant following where he interviews prominent conservative figures. Okay, the actual last three Brand interviews were with Cornel West, an extreme leftist, Noam Chomsky, an extreme leftist, and Marianne Williams from the Green Party. Like, the complete opposite of right wing.
Sounds like conservative figures to me.
Oh, yeah. MAGA Republicans. Also on X, Carl Benjamin, also known by his more famous moniker, Sargon of Akkad. He had his own famous incident with censorship, actually multiple incidents, which they were all unsuccessful at. So he says, 4 anonymous women were approached by reporters to make allegations against Rusty Rockets, who is Russell's X handle, years after the purported occurrences because Brand is influential and in opposition to the regime narrative. Don't take my word for it. This is from their article. And then in the article, this is the paper who did this investigation reporting, all of the women said they felt ready to speak only after being approached by reporters. Several said they felt compelled to do so given Brand's newfound prominence as an online wellness influencer with millions of followers on YouTube and other sites. So they've come, quote unquote, come forward, except they had to be prompted by the reporters searching for them and finding them. None of these women came to the newspaper. The newspaper basically interviewed the hundreds, if not thousands of women Russell has been hooked up with in the past. And again, we're waiting for those police charges. Now, speaking of the papers contacting women, this is one of the women that was contacted, and let's hear her story.
I actually know who this is about, and I have the receipts. I was contacted in June by a journalist regarding a video I made about a certain celebrity and a weekend that we shared together. The video is kind of viral. It's on my page somewhere if you want to go see it. And that certain somebody was, as most of you will be aware, Mr. Brand. They weren't going to use my story because it didn't fit the narrative for their documentary, because he wasn't an arsehole to me. But here are some of the messages. Obviously, I will take out the person.
I'm just going to pause so we can see this. This is from the paper to this girl. Hi, Kara. I hope you don't mind me contacting you here. My name is so-and-so at the Times. I'm a journalist. We're currently working on a project in collaboration with Channel 4. We saw your post on TikTok. It's fairly sensitive, so if you had a few minutes, it would be great to have a quick chat. This would be strictly for research purposes. So basically, this just proves she did get a message. Let's continue with the video.
We had a phone call. She contacted me for more information, and I didn't contact her back because I kind of felt like it would be mean. Anyway, there you go. Put your bets on. It's a documentary about the one and only Mr. Russell Brand.
I mean, it's interesting. They won't use her story, even just to provide context. Like, not all women. You know, here's at least one who had a different opinion. That's what responsible journalists do, by the way. Responsible journalists present all sides of an issue. They don't just decide ahead of time and then go hunt for the people.
If you're a casual observer, you're going to be like, oh yeah, he's definitely guilty.
I recommend everyone who's interested in this issue and others follow this guy, Suleiman Ahmed. Really good coverage of this issue. Suleiman was noting how coordinated this thing seemed to be. Initially, you know, the paper reports this, then his talent agency and his book publisher immediately cut ties with him. Boom, sever that relationship right away on allegations. These are people who believed in him so much that they got him work for years everywhere around the world. But suddenly someone accuses him and there's not even a police report, a police charge, formal charges, and they just drop him. So I'm going to guess that the papers also contacted the publisher directly. And we know they contacted social media directly because we're going to be covering that in just a moment. When unfounded allegations that don't have any evidence yet or no formal charges, when these happen and you're a person that the media and the government doesn't like, they immediately try to eliminate every source of revenue you have and limit your ability to like live in the world, which is an entirely new thing since social media. Now we're going to take a look at this. The UK government got involved immediately to exert pressure on social media within a day of all this happening. The effort was coordinated, targeting multiple companies. Fortunately, the CEO of Rumble stood firm and didn't agree to the censorship. We're going to go over that letter. And Russell Brown had already migrated over to Rumble, so he's got all his content duplicated over there if YouTube does get rid of him. It's evident that YouTube isn't a free speech platform, as Suleiman says here. It's also worth noting that Elon Musk and X said they won't be banning Russell Brand. Elon Musk said the following statement: "He is not suspended on this platform, innocent until proven guilty." That's my whole thesis right there. That's all we ask. He may have committed these things. If he did, okay, charge him and, you know, go to court and all that stuff. But we don't cancel people on allegations that haven't been proven yet.
Right, even if the allegation sounds horrible. Like there's nothing worse than the R word. But if we erode the innocent until proven guilty ideology, whatever you want to call it, it's a slippery slope and it's going in the wrong direction.
So there's a famous soccer player, Benjamin Mendy. He faced accusations of sex offenses by multiple women. His last game played was in 2021, and it took him 2 years to clear his name. 2 years out of your professional career. I mean, it's hard to come back from that. His skills dwindled, and Mendy missed his chance for glory. Having been found innocent, he resumed his career in Turkey in the minor league, his major league career, because of false charges. Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, we all know that story. I won't go over it. Johnny Depp found not guilty. This woman is not famous in the celebrity sense. However, what she did, I mean, her name was Eleanor Williams. She accused numerous men of these bad things. She took a hammer to her own face to create signs of violent abuse. She shattered their lives. Many tried to attempt suicide. Unbelievable. We know what's going on with Andrew and Tristan Tate. This has not been resolved, but we know what has happened to them. They served something like 6 or 8 months in jail. I forget the amount. And there were still no charges during that whole time. Now it looks like they're moving to the court phase, finally, after being falsely imprisoned. MLB star Trevor Bauer, another example, falsely accused in 2021. He faced suspension without any formal charges. The case never proceeded due to insufficient evidence, according to the prosecutor. His lawyer said she wanted to destroy Mr. Bauer's reputation and baseball career, garner attention for herself, and extract millions of dollars from Mr. Bauer. She did. Same thing happened with Cristiano Ronaldo. He was accused of assault just before the World Cup game. This greatly affected his state during the World Cup, an event he may never participate in again. Many will be familiar with Jeremy Piven, the star from Entourage. Fantastic actor. He was falsely accused of sexual assault. Once more, the police didn't pursue the case, considering the lack of evidence. He even took a voluntary polygraph test to demonstrate his innocence. He lost 5 years of his life and his career from this. And let's just end on Kevin Spacey, okay? We all know the story there, and you and I have talked about this before.
Yeah.
Way before this story. We were both like, we can't believe Kevin Spacey's such a bad guy. Gosh, this is gross, man.
Yeah.
We believed
I still perceive him in a negative light because of this.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
That's
the power of this.
And there were 12 counts against him from 4 different men.
Mm-hmm.
And he was found not guilty on every single one of them. But as you just said, dude, for the rest, even though I know he's not guilty now in the back of my mind, I have this slight creep vibe about him.
There is a permanent stain on his reputation.
And that was when he was at the top of his game on House of Cards.
Yeah.
One more bonus. We know what happened to Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
Oh, this guy's probably guilty.
What? I can't believe I have to work with this guy. Why hasn't Lizzo been demonetized on YouTube? She is accused by 9 dancers of sexual and racial discrimination, fat shaming, physical and emotional abuse. Where's the consistency? Why is Lizzo's alleged abuse more palatable than Brand's? Here's another example. This is Cardi B from 2019. I did what I had to do to survive. Cardi B confirms she drugged and robbed men during her stripper days after old video resurfaces. Cardi B's monetized across all platforms. YouTube loves them some Cardi B, making that money off of her.
Mm-hmm.
And she says she's guilty of this. Okay, we still don't know if Russell is. So we've got a confirmed bad person who harms people off platform.
Or who used to anyway, right?
Or used to, yeah. Well, Russell's is used to also, if it's true.
Sure.
I want to give you guys a peek at what was going on behind the scenes when this whole Russell cancellation occurred and the coordination between government and media. So this is a letter from a member of the UK Parliament to Rumble, and letters like this were sent to YouTube and to all the media that Russell is on, all the platforms and all the social media, Facebook, etc., X. So it says, Dear Chris, and Chris is the CEO of Rumble. Dear Chris, I'm writing concerning the allegations against Russell Brand in the context of his being a content creator on Rumble with more than 1.4 million followers. The Culture, Media, and Sport Committee is raising questions with broadcasters and production companies who previously employed Mr. Brand to examine both the culture of the industry in the past and whether the culture still prevails today. Okay, we're also looking at his use of social media, including on Rumble, where he issued his preemptive response to the accusations made against him by the Sunday Times and Channel 4's dispatches. They're very angry about that because his response, as you noted before, had how many million views? Like 2.7 million or something?
Yeah, it was definitely his largest viewed video on Stay Free with Russell Brand.
He took their thunder, and they're very upset about that.
Right. Very Dave Portnoy from Barstool.
Yeah. It says, while we recognize that Rumble is not the creator of the content published by Mr. Brand, we're concerned he may be able to profit from his content on the platform. We would be grateful if you would confirm whether Mr. Brand is able to monetize his content, including his videos relating to the serious accusations against him. If so, we'd like to know whether Rumble intends to join YouTube in suspending Mr. Brand's ability to earn money on the platform. We'd also like to know what Rumble is doing to ensure the creator's not able to use the platform to undermine the welfare of victims of inappropriate and potentially illegal behavior. Also notice that last sentence, the victims of inappropriate and potentially illegal behavior. So they're acknowledging that this might not even be true, these allegations. And this is signed Dame Caroline Dinenajudge, whatever. Here is the CEO of Rumble's response Today, we received an extremely disturbing letter from the committee chair in the UK Parliament. While Rumble obviously deplores bad behavior and believes both alleged victims and the accused are entitled to a full and serious investigation, it's vital to note that none of these allegations have anything to do with Russell's content on their platform. Just yesterday, YouTube announced, based solely on accusations, it was barring Mr. Brand from monetizing. Rumble stands for very different values. We have devoted ourselves to the vital cause of defending a free internet, meaning an internet where no one arbitrarily dictates which ideas can or cannot be heard, or which citizens may or may not be entitled to a platform.
So I'll throw it right back to you. If these weren't allegations and they were charges and they had him in handcuffs and he was fingerprinted and mugshotted, would you agree with him being removed from, or demonetized at least, from YouTube and other video platforms?
That's an interesting ethical and legal question, because there are known murderers, convicted and unconvicted, on YouTube right now with content channels. There are many rappers who've committed murder who are fully monetized on YouTube.
And isn't like O.J. Simpson super popular on X?
Yeah. So,
I mean, everybody talk about the court of public opinion. Like, everybody knows the dude killed his wife. Like,
honestly, it's a very hard question. But if you're going to be true to free speech and be true to the law, if a person, and to your own terms of service, if they're not doing bad content on your platform, you can't ban them for off-platform content.
In the words of Louisiana Senator John Kennedy, if there weren't double standards in Washington, there'd be no standards at all. But yeah.
So the Rumble CEO's letter continues. We regard it as deeply inappropriate and dangerous that the UK Parliament would attempt to control who is allowed to speak on our platform or to earn a living from doing so. Singling out an individual and demanding his ban is even more disturbing given the absence of any connection between the allegations and his content on Rumble. We don't agree with the behavior of many Rumble creators, but we refuse to penalize them for actions that have nothing to do with our platform. Although it may be politically correct, politically and socially easier for Rumble to join a cancel culture mob, doing so would be a violation of our company's values and mission. We emphatically reject the UK Parliament's demands. Chris Pavlovsky, Rumble CEO. If they're not doing bad behavior on the platform shouldn't be able to ban them.
Again, even if you think Brand is guilty, you've got to say to yourself, why are they coming for him with everything they've got? And you cannot ignore the fact that this is a very influential anti-establishment guy. That is really important to note here.
Yeah.
Very influential, anti-establishment. Those two things, they don't want in the same room, dude. They just don't.
It raises a lot of questions of why people like him seem to be getting all the heat from the government and the media these days. The allegations always seem to go against them. This is from the UK Parliament's, the government's official website. And I went and looked up old Dame Caroline here. And here's something interesting. Under her registered interests, under employment and earnings. Now remember, she specifically asked in her letter if Rumble is going to do what YouTube did. Basically, is Rumble going to be a good person like YouTube's a good person and demonetize Brand? So under her employment, what's this? Name of donor, Google UK. She received 2 tickets with hospitality and accommodations as guests of YouTube at the Glastonbury Festival of Contemporary Arts. Value about $3,500 US, just a couple months ago. So seems like old Caroline has some type of ties with Google. Interesting, right? And here was Elon's tweet on X, or his post on X. He is not suspended on this platform. Innocent until proven guilty is a wise and fair maxim. And another reason why old Dame Caroline and her backdoor ties to Google is involved in this. What's going on here? Rumble's antitrust lawsuit against Google will proceed to discovery. This dates back to July. This is one of 2 lawsuits Rumble has against Google. Regarding this one, Google's motion to dismiss was denied. The lawsuit will proceed. Rumble's lawsuit alleges Google uses its dominance in search to direct users to YouTube instead of its competitors, highlighting the Sherman Antitrust Act. From The Intercept, Rumble had exclusive rights to stream the Republican debate, yet was buried in Google search. And this is the second lawsuit. What this lawsuit is about is that the August Republican presidential primary debate, Rumble had an exclusive deal, and Google tries to always feature this stuff on their homepage. So Google's civics and U.S. campaigns team reached out to the Republican National Committee and asked them, what they were doing, who's going to be streaming it and all that stuff. And so normally, when they get that information, then they know what to feature that night on the homepage of Google, or the page where the live politics stuff happens. What happened in this instance, on the day of and during the debate, however, potential viewers who searched Google for GOP debate stream were returned links to YouTube, Fox News, and news articles about the debate, but nothing with Rumble. It was nowhere on the first page. Rumble's the official streamer, and they didn't even put it on the first page. That's Monopoly Act. That's intentional.
And here it is. Big tech feels Democrat, liberal, wokeism, good word, traditionalism, conservatism, bad word, Republican, bad word, negative.
Dude, after that first letter from the UK Parliament to Rumble, and then Rumble said, no, we're not going to, censor him. We're not going to demonetize him. He got this letter from the Associated Press. I'm a reporter with Associated Press national politics team, writing with a few questions about Rumble. Is there any way someone at Rumble could be available to answer the following questions by phone or email in the next day by the end of the day? Okay, number one, this is a trick they do when they want to write hit pieces. They let you know a day before, and usually at 5 p.m., and then give you no time to respond to it. Okay, imagine you're a busy CEO. You might not even check your email for a day. So here's her questions. How many active users does Rumble have? Can you give us any data to demonstrate how its user base has grown as a result of the traffic from the first GOP debate? And by the way, she's asking these questions in relation to the coming second GOP debate. What are Rumble's content moderation rules? Are there certain types of content that won't be tolerated and will be removed? Number 3, after Rumble's partnership with RNC, does the platform have any other plans to get more involved in the political space? Number 4, while Rumble says it's immune to cancel culture, yada, 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 it's a place that has promoted harmful conspiracy theories, disinformation, violent ideas, and extremist views. Okay, here we go. When we reviewed the platform, we found the following. Several videos on the leaderboard, which is like the homepage, promoted the QAnon conspiracy theory. Some of the editors' picks in recent weeks have promoted baseless claims, including 9/11 conspiracy theories. Okay, number 1, little girl, because this is a little girl who wrote this. I'll show you her picture in just a moment. It's not up to you to decide what's a conspiracy theory and what's not. Do you know what happened for 9/11? I'd love to hear your thoughts, 20-something. A search for election on the platform populates videos that falsely claim the so-called deep state rigged the 2020 presidential election and that the 2024 election has already been rigged. Okay, do you know they haven't? Do you have any information? And we're not claiming anything was false. Oh, no, we wouldn't want to be demonetized here. Comments under some of Trump's campaign videos call for violence, including bad things should happen to Biden and a lot of gallows talk, etc. These are comments. These are not Rumble employees. These are not even the video creators. Nobody can control what happens in the comments, okay? Until after the fact. Ahead of the first GOP debate last month, the GOP's official pre-show on the platform was overridden with racial slurs and other bigoted comments. According to you, little girl, the episode has since been hidden from public view. Oh, so conveniently, we can't see the proof. Okay, what is Rumble's response to these findings and the criticism that it allows and promotes this harmful content? Again, it would be great to hear back before the end of the day tomorrow, if possible. Happy to email or set up a time to talk by phone. Thanks very much. Allie Swenson from the Associated Press.
You know who's not worried about capitalizing on a crisis? Netflix. They released Get 'Em to the Greek. They had it restreaming as of September 1st, and it's still on there.
Slate and I discussed whether we were even gonna cover this.
Right.
This is, I would say, your favorite comedian of all time, and one of your favorite people, right?
Yeah, this news story was. Listen, I find Russell brainy and eloquent, excuse me, and second best in line of use of the English language besides George Carlin. He's a unbelievable thinker, and he's honest and about himself. His views on spirituality, overcoming addiction. I mean, there's endless things I love about this man. But so that's why it was super hard for me to talk about this surrounding the sensitivity of this subject. This is really hard to talk about. But nonetheless, we did a video anyway on it.
And I never used to like him that much. And moving on up to recent times, I love the guy too. But we don't know, those of you who aren't creators or on the platform or trying to make videos, you can never imagine how difficult it is to figure out what YouTube is going to ban you for, or what you can and can't say, especially when some of the things you can't say are actually true and backed up by science and other things. And the people who said things one way now say the exact opposite, and they're supposed experts, and of course they're allowed by YouTube. So we didn't even know how to cover this, and then you tie that all into these days you're not allowed to have opinions on subjects, even if you're just give somebody a fair shake, even if you just say innocent until proven guilty, you look at each case individually and then go through it,
Yes, that's why we have the justice system here in the country, or the criminal, justice system. So, and that's why we decided to do the cast. I mean, you and I are as human as anybody else, and we err and we learn and move on and grow and stuff. So it's important to note.
And with that, we ask you to go over to Rumble if you guys have Rumble accounts and subscribe to our channel over there. It's it's okay if whichever platform you subscribe on, you watch us on, but in the future there might be a day where we're only on Rumble. We hope that doesn't come, because we love YouTube. YouTube is a great platform. However, they just need to get some adults in charge over there, people who know what free speech is. That's it.
Guys, leave your comments below and make sure you smash that like button, help this channel grow. We are Yakcast. Yeah.
And subscribe.